Hey, 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 what is up, my Patreon people? Welcome to Perfection Unfolding with me, Cara G, the bonus episode, the first bonus episode of the podcast. I'm so excited. Welcome. All three of you guys. I love ya. I love ya. So, this is the first bonus episode. I don't want to do anything that I would normally do in the regular episodes because I want to give you guys something like a little bit different, a little bit more um closer to my heart, closer to my mind. And so, I normally do the gift of gratitude section. I normally do the three deep breaths, which we're still going to do the deep breaths for the bonus episodes because it's always good to ground. But today I'm going to dive into some spirituality type stuff. So buckle up. It's going to be some spiritual philosophy. Last week, if you listened to the episode, the spiritual beliefs that changed my life, I talk a lot about conversations with God. Even though I didn't do a deep dive, I kind of teased it. And today I'm going to talk about like a couple concepts from the book that I just find really fascinating. They bring me a lot of peace, and I want to share them with you guys. The concept I'm going to go over one today and kind of talk it through. It's a little bit heady, but I'm excited about it. But before we get into that, I'm good. Are you good? Are you good? Happy day. Happy day. I think I'm releasing this on a Saturday this month, but next month I'm going to try to release it on the last Wednesday of the month. I think that's like a good time. So keep a lookout for that and hold me accountable. Okay? There might only be 3 of you, but that's a lot of people. And this is what I owe you guys. I told you I was going to do it. I'm doing it. Okay? So that being said, let's go ahead and find a comfy position. Sit on your sits bones, crisscross applesauce. If you're watching, I'm giving my best like 90s magenta. Who is she? I don't even, with the rolled sleeves. Maybe I'm 80s. I'm giving 80s. I don't know. Don't care. But find a comfy position. Sit on your sits bones. Sit up nice and tall. Go to a quiet room if you can. Um, hopefully you're not watching this video while you're driving and you're in the comfort of your own home. So if you get a chance, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes for me and just kind of settle into your body. Take note of where you are. Kind of start focusing on your breath a little bit. And we're going to take a nice big inhale in all together. Here we go. Breathe in. And exhale. And inhale. Nice big exhale. Relax your shoulders. And one more inhale in, big breath. Breathe in all the good. And exhale all the stress and worries. And just take a moment to just thank your body for being here, for being healthy, for being present. When you're comfortable, you go ahead and open your eyes. Namaste. I look so high. I'm not. I promise. I'm sober, Sally. So that being said, I want to get straight into this topic because I want these bonus episodes to be really a space in the future where we can have discussion. So like if you guys had questions or if you guys had ideas, this is where we could really dive in and get nitty gritty with the specific questions or topics or ideas that you guys might have that I would love to discuss about. But for now, since we don't really, I don't have too much interaction going on yet. I want to kind of bring things to you guys and see what you think about these topics. Mind you, a caveat to this: like I always say, everything I say, I want you to question. I speak a lot about trusting yourself, trusting your instincts, listening to your intuition, honoring your inner knowing, like the things that we can't really explain, but we just know them. I think a lot of women are tapped into this at a very early age, but we kind of like suppress it down. And maybe men kind of come into this intuitive knowingness as they get older because they're tapping, they're kind of allowing themselves to feel and to know and to believe themselves, right? Um, And it's the same for men and women. Who am I kidding? It's everybody. We're so far removed from our inner knowing when we're a kid because society, school, whatever. But as you get older, it's just like your gut feeling is your gut feeling. And I think the more still you become, the stronger your intuition appears, right? Because you're actually listening and you're being still and you're starting to become more sensitive to like the energies around you and the little pings that pop into your head. And these intuition, these inner knowings could be creative inspiration. They could be like, I think I really want to get ice cream today. It's just, it doesn't have to be anything crazy or woo woo. It's just like trusting your instincts, right? And with that being said, I want you to trust your instincts with anything that comes out of my mouth. Like, yes, do I have a podcast? Do I have the audacity to talk publicly about a bunch of things that I think are interesting? Yes, I do. Does that mean I'm an expert? No. You guys know this. You guys know me. But for anybody who comes across this and maybe doesn't know me, like that is my number one priority is for for people to use their own critical thinking skills and their own intuitive knowings to navigate the truths of their lives, right? All the things that I share are things that have worked for me, that have helped me get to know me, that bring me peace, that have helped me self-develop, right? And I'm sharing them with hopes that they can help other people who it resonates with. So all that being said, today I want to read you um, a couple pages from the book Conversations with God, book 3. So it's the third book in the series. I believe it was published in like 1996 or 97, 98, somewhere in the late 90s. All three of these books were published. And they've changed my life. Like a lot of the spiritual beliefs and understandings that I have, a lot of them were validated by these books, and my mind was opened to some of those concepts through these books. And when I read them, my inner knowing was like, that's the truth. That's the truth that makes sense to me, right? But there's a couple pages in here that speak to what exactly humans are, right? Now, for some background, Conversations with God it was written by this man named Neil Donald Walsh. And essentially, the way that the books were written, they're channeled writings, right? You think of the Bible, those were channeled writings from, you know, Jesus's disciples, stuff like that. Like these are messages that were given to some of these people by God, right? And essentially, this book is the same thing. And I'm not here to get into any kind of Christian discourse. Okay, I'm just here to share ideas and to have a good time. Okay, but this guy, the story goes when he started writing the first book, he was this guy he was just pissed at the world. He was angry. He was like he was pissed that he was a writer, but he hadn't had any success in his career. He'd already had a failed marriage. His kids didn't like him. He was just pissed. He was just angry at God. He was this Christian man who was angry at God. And one day he sat down and he started writing a letter to God, like basically uh airing all of his grievances and like questioning God, like, how come you haven't done this for me? And how come, I'm not successful and my life is in shambles and, I'm garbage and I've amounted to nothing. And, he's writing this letter to God and next thing he knows, like he just keeps writing, but it's not coming from him. The response to the letter that he wrote is coming from God himself through his writing, right? So already, if you set the scene of this book, you have to be kind of open-minded to even consider the words that are written in this book to be written by God. Like you have to be open to the fact that might be true, right? And I also challenge you, if you are someone who's traditionally Christian or who finds yourself being like the things that I believe are the things I believe, like I challenge you to open your mind, like because worst case scenario, you read something that you don't agree with and it just affirms your belief. It affirms, what you already believed. Like, oh yeah, okay, I read that. That sounds insane. But best case scenario, you read something new and it opens your mind and it makes you question things and it makes your brain go in all these different directions that you never thought it would. And now you're a more evolved person. You have more layers to you now. You ask more questions. There's more nuance to your beliefs, which listen, the more nuance, the better. Like I am a nuance context girly. I love it. Like I do not believe one size fits all in any capacity. So that's kind of the lay of the land in terms of how the books started being written. Like their channel messages. The first book was all about our relationship with ourselves in the world, like us as individual people. The second book was kind of about like the state of the world as a collective. And this third book is about kind of like space and aliens and not in that not in that exact literal way. Like he's like aliens. Once you read the book, you'll understand. Like it makes sense. So, but in like the first couple chapters, I believe this is chapter 2, but it's page 49 to 51. Neil, the guy who is the author who's having the conversation with God, he basically they get on the topic of Christ. Okay, so like Jesus Christ. And Neil's like, was Jesus Christ not the best of us, you know? And God was like, yeah, but he's not the only man who is capable of doing all those miracles and all those things. And basically starts talking about how like we are all God consciousness. We all have the power of God within us. And I'm using the term God in this way because in the book, in the first book, God, quote unquote, even speaks of himself. He's like, you cannot fathom all that I am because I am all that is. You know, like your view of me is so limited. You think I'm a man. You never even considered the fact that I could also be, you know, female. He's like, they, he, she, they, whatever. They're not even human. They are everything that is. It's energy, right? And it's the creator consciousness of that creates everything. So, but God is the term that's used in the book because it's the one that's I think um, most easily recognizable just because Christianity, whatever. So I'm going to use that term. So if the word God makes you feel uneasy, I encourage you to view it with kind of like a neutral understanding. Like if you call God, universe, spirit, you know, whatever energy, just insert that word every time I say God, and that would help, I think, help you ingest this information. Um, so yeah, so Neil is like basically Neil in all these books is just asking God all these questions about abortion, questions about, you know, war, questions about sex, questions about aliens, and he's just like all the questions that we would ask God, like, wait, so you're telling me that like God's got a sense of humor and like he really doesn't care about whatever? And I'm using he because, but they interchange it in the book. And so anyway, so in this question, um, I'm gonna start here. Neil says, Christ is not the highest example, question mark. He's not God made man. And God responds, Christ is the highest example. He is simply not the only example to reach that highest state. Christ is God made man. He is simply not the only man made of God. And once he started getting on this stuff, I said, okay, speak your truth. Come on, God. Say more. God says, every man is God made man. You are me, expressing in your present form. Yet don't worry about limiting me, about how limited that makes me. For I am not limited and never have been. Do you think that you are the only form that I have chosen? Do you think you are the only creatures whom I've imbued with the essence of me? I tell you, I am in every flower, every rainbow, every star in the heavens, and everything in and on every planet rotating around every star. Ooh. I am the whisper of the wind, the warmth of your sun, the incredible individuality, and the extraordinary perfection of every snowflake. I am the majesty and the soaring flight of eagles, and the innocence of the doe in the field, the courage of lions, the wisdom of the ancient ones. And I am not limited to the modes of expression seen on your planet alone. You do not know who I am, but only think you do. Yet think not that who I am is limited to you, or that my divine essence, this most Holy Spirit, was given to you and you alone. That would be an arrogant thought and a misinformed one. My beingness is in everything. Everything. The allness is my expression. The wholeness is my nature. There is nothing that I am not, and something I am not cannot be. My purpose in creating you, and this is where it gets good, my blessed creatures, was so that I might have an experience of myself as the creator of my own experience. I'm gonna read that last part again because this is the part that I want. This is the part that is incredibly empowering. Okay, this is the part for me that they just missed the mark when I was growing up in a Christian church. It was the empowerment of knowing that we are God expressing themselves. Isn't that crazy? So I'll read it again. My purpose, this is God speaking, my purpose in creating you, my blessed creatures, was so that I might have an experience of myself as the creator of my own experience. Today's episode is literally titled, You Are the Creator of Your Own Experience. And when I read these books, it was the first time that when I thought of the phrase I am the great I am, that I read them as like I am, right? And it's like God is the God, whatever is the great I am. But then it's like, who am I? Who am I? I am I am the great I am. Like we are not separate. Like you, me, your best friend, your mom, your grandma, your uncle, like we are the great I am. We are God expressing themselves in human form. And in the paragraphs before that last paragraph, God was saying, "You think you're the only person? You're the only creatures with my essence? I'm in everything. Everything is an expression of me, and I created all of this so that I could see myself." Right? And if you believe that God, universe, spirit is pure love, then we are literally God wanting to experience themselves as love personified. How fucking cool is that? Doesn't that make you feel so warm and fuzzy and special? And like it just kind of restores my belief in humanity again. Because I'm like, we are all love. We just distort it because we have this illusion that we aren't made of angel dust and God consciousness and whatever. We think that we're garbage fire, tragic messes, and it's just not true. um. So then Neil responds. He says, "Some people don't understand. Help all of us understand." And God responds, wait, with this. He says, "The one aspect of God that only a very special creature could create was the aspect of myself as the creator. I am not the god of your mythologies, nor am I the goddess. I am the creator, that which creates. Yet I choose to know myself in my own experience." And I just love how philosophical this is. It's so awesome. "Just as I know my perfection of design through a snowflake, my awesome beauty through a rose, so too do I know my creative power through you. To you, I have given the ability to consciously create your experience, which is the ability I have. Through you, I can know every aspect of me. The perfection of the snowflake, the awesome beauty of the rose, the courage of lions, the majesty of eagles, all reside in you. In you, I have placed all of these things, and one thing more, the consciousness to be aware of it." God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, the great creator is really a more appropriate term, like they say in this book. The great creator, when they split themselves up into a million bajillion infinite pieces so that they can experience all that they are, the piece that they gave us was the ability to be aware of our creativity, to be conscious creators, not just to give us the ability to create, but the ability to consciously create so that we could build our own realities, and therefore God could experience every reality that was possible in infinite possibilities, right? It goes on to say, thus he said. So it says, let me finish the last sentence. "The perfection of the snowflake, the awesome beauty of the rose, the courage of lions, the majesty of eagles, all reside in you. In you, I have placed all of these things, and one thing more, the consciousness to be aware of it." We have awareness. That is our greatest strength and our greatest weakness as human beings on the planet. Like, that is what makes us different than a pack of wolves, a flock of birds, right? We have awareness of our thoughts, of our actions, of our feelings, of our surroundings. It's like, yes, animals have their primal instincts and like they have their communities and they have these very like elaborate languages and stuff, but like we have creator consciousness and we are aware of our creative consciousness. We are the observer of our awareness. We are the observer of the observer of the observer of the awareness. That is our gift. That is the piece of God that was put into humans. If you let yourself think about it like that. That's what I think is cool. I choose to believe it. When I read this, I'm like, makes sense, checks out. It goes on to say, thus have you become self-conscious, right? The consciousness to be aware of it. Thus have you become self-conscious. This is where our ego comes in. This is where our ego destroys our life. We become self-conscious because we're so aware. We're like, and then judgment comes into play and we're like, right? And thus have you been given the greatest gift, for you have been aware of yourself being yourself, which is exactly what I am. I am myself, aware of myself being myself. This is what is meant to be the statement, I am that I am. It's so crazy. You are that part of me, which is the awareness experienced. And what you are experiencing and what I am experiencing through you is me, creating me. I am in the continual act of creating myself. Bro, he's dropping motherfucking bars here. He's dropping motherfucking. I gotta read this again just so we can let it all sink in, okay? Pff, he's telling us exactly what we are here to do as humans, what our mission is, what our purpose is, what the whole point of it is, right? All of us have all these questions about like, what's the meaning of life? What am I supposed to do here? I'm just a little plebe, or the opposite direction where people think they are God, and that they are this special, creature who's different than everybody else. When really, like, we're all made of the same stuff. We're all special in our own way, but like, you're not like no. We're all a piece of the puzzle, but you are not the puzzle, right? I'm going to read this again. Thus have you become self-conscious, and thus have you been given the greatest gift, for you have been aware of yourself being yourself, which is exactly what I am. We are reflections of God in human form, bro. That's what makes humans the quote-unquote apex predators, is our awareness of ourself, being aware of ourself. I am that I am. We are, it's like, I think about it like this. Right? Like in your body, we have trillions and millions and bajillions of cells running around on superhighways. They've all got jobs to do. Some of them are in their heart. Some of them are in the brain. There's nerve endings. There's fascia. There's muscle tissue. There's skin. There's eyelashes. There's hair. There's all these things going on, and they're all working in perfect harmony without you even thinking about it. Think about your body as the creator. And think about all the things in the universe working in tandem in perfect harmony as the body of, what is it? Of Christ. Or the body of the creator. We are all the bits and pieces of the creator, because when you zoom in, everything is what? It's individual. Every single cell has every single atom, and all of them are separate, and none of them are actually touching. Isn't that fascinating? None of them are touching. So it's we look at it, and when you zoom in close enough, you can see that everything is separate and everything is separate. But when you zoom out enough, you see this perfectly whole body sitting still, unmovable. But when you zoom in, everything's moving around. It's chaos. Everything's separate. I think that's the perfect way to think about create the collective consciousness, right? We all have these ideas that we are separate individual people, which we are. But really, in the grand scheme of the universe, which is constantly growing in an infinite capacity, we are nothing. We are a proton. I mean, a proton. No, whatever. We are an atom, right? In the cosmic wheel of life. I just love that analogy. Another analogy is like, if you look at a rock, it looks still and unmoved. But if you zoom in, close enough, you can see all of the really fast moving energy, like just like ping ponging around in that rock, and all those little atoms just look like they think they've got their thing going on, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're moving a mile a minute. But you zoom out enough, that rock is seemingly still as a rock, still as a board, right? And I think that's literally what, like, using Christian terminology, we are the body of Christ. Like literally, we are the creator fractaled into a million bajillion pieces with the illusion of separateness. But really, everything works out in perfect harmony when we're doing things that align with our highest good, with our inner knowings, right? That innate feeling of what's helpful and hurtful, right? And even when we are being destructive, like Mother Nature still gonna keep doing the thing to keep everything in balance, right? So crazy. So freaking crazy. And like the way that this is worded is so neutral. It's not like helpful, hurtful, good or bad. It's just neutral. It's like this is what it is. This is what it I don't know. This shit fires me up. What can I say? Um uh so Neil responds to God, and then this is the last piece I'll read. Neil responds to God. He says, "Does that mean God is not a constant? Does that mean you do not know what you're going to be in the next moment?" Talking about, is there free will kind of thing? Like, and God says, "How can I know? You haven't decided." Which is literally God saying, like, I'm experiencing myself through you. Whatever you do is perfect. Whether your ego brain judges it as like good, bad, helpful, or hurtful, God doesn't care. Like, God, the creator, is just here to experience themselves. They want to know the infinite possibilities of who they are, what they can be, what it looks like to be alive, what it looks like to be in relationship, what it looks like to experience the full spectrum of human emotion, what it looks like to create, to just continue creating, right? The creator created all that is, right? The Big Bang, like freaking creation story, whatever you want to believe, all that is appeared out of nothing. And the things that we know about the universe is that nothing, like energy, cannot be created or destroyed. So there had to have been an original all that is and an original all that is not, right? And the books kind of get into that in the first book, but um this is the last passage I'll read. So Neil responds, "Let me get this straight. I am deciding all this as like a human, like we are all deciding everything that we're doing at any given moment." And God responds like this. God says, "Yes, you are me, choosing to be me." There's that word choice. Choice is a massive part about being a conscious creator. You are me, choosing to be what I am and choosing what I am going to be. All of you collectively are creating that. You are doing it on an individual basis as each of you decides who you are and experiences that, and you are doing it collectively as the co-creative collective being that you are. So God's basically saying, you're choosing your story, you're choosing your path at any given second on an individual level, and then also on the that's the micro level, and then on the macro level, you're choosing your story as a collective, as co-creators of the collective experience, and all of it is God experiencing themselves. Just because, how can I know what you're going to do when you haven't created it yet? I'm just here to witness, you know? So cool. And then God says, "I am the collective experience of the lot of you." And Neil says, "And you really don't know who you are going to be in the next moment?" And God says, "I was being lighthearted a moment ago. Of course I know. I already know all of your decisions. So I know who I am, who I have always been, and who I will always be." Neil says, how can you know what I am going to choose to be, do, and have in the next moment, much less what the whole human race is going to choose?" And then it goes into like, God says, "Simple, you've already done the choosing. Everything you're ever going to be, do, or have, you've already done. You're doing it right now. Do you see? There is no such thing as time. And then it gets into like how time is linear and everything that's happening, that's already happened, is happening in like a vertical, like stacked on top of each other versus like in a horizontal line where we think that we're passing through the moment when really the moment is passing through us, um, which is dope. But the main message that I wanted to get across was just like, we are the creator of our experience, like first and foremost. And this book speaks to why and how we are the creators of our own experience. And that is because we are of the creator. We are, which isn't something that we can even comprehend, which the other books get into. Like, I actually like the creator much better than God, I think, even. Um, because if everything is creation, like we can understand creation, right? Like we bring, womb having people, women, um, we create life every day. Like we see pregnant women all over the place and we bring souls into the world through the portal of our body, right? That is creation. We make art. We are drawn to making art. That is creation. We are drawn to sex. That is the act of creation. Like of that is the most creative act, is when you sleep with someone and you make a baby, right? Hopefully it's out of love, but like these are the things that we're drawn to, and they're not negative. These are just like our human nature, our creative nature. There's been art forever. There's been sex forever, right? Like how many things can you say that about? I mean, food, sex, and art. Like, I mean, and then there's like war and stuff, but that's usually because they're fighting over like food and sex. So, whatever. So I don't know. I think it just helps give, if you're willing to be open to the idea, it helps give a different perspective of like, I feel like in Christianity, especially growing up, the terms like we are the body of Christ were thrown around. The terms like we are, God is love were thrown around, and we are made in the image of God were thrown around. And it was always like, and I found, the you are made in the image of God thing so profound and so helpful but like it was never connected. Like yes, okay, like you're the image of God, but let go and let God. Like that felt so disconnected. Like that felt so disempowering. Like the blanks were never filled in for me. The gaps were never filled in. And when I think like I am made in the image of God, and then I read this book, and it's like, yeah, because we literally are God. Like all of us are God personified. We are not all that is, but we are a piece of all that is, right? It's like we are the puzzle pieces. And when we all click together, we make the big picture of the big puzzle. But if you miss one puzzle piece, that puzzle's not finished, right? But that whole puzzle piece cannot be created without the individual pieces. It doesn't exist without the individual pieces. It's like we are the body of the creator. We are what like we are that in its expression, right? And also the piece of it in terms of like what makes human beings special is having the awareness of our creations and the awareness of our consciousness. Like that is the thing that separates us from gorillas, right? I find it fascinating. I find it so helpful. I find it empowering because it's like, right, like I create my own reality. I choose everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, the helpful, the hurtful, and beyond. It's all a choice. And I've said this in other episodes, but even if you're not choosing, you're still making a choice. And I find that when I come at that radical responsibility of like I choose my life, like I'm the creator of my own reality, I get more excited than I get like depressed, you know? It would be so easy to be a victim of my circumstance because it takes so much work to take responsibility and ownership of your reality. But I think of taking responsibility and like creating my own reality as like this neutral task. Like I can choose anything. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to be happy. Like all of it is kind of neutral. I'm the one who puts the perspective on it. I'm the one who can make the choice. And I don't have to wait around for anything either. I don't have to be a victim of time when time's not even real, or a victim of somebody else's choice when I can just make my own choice. I can be empowered, right? I can tap into that creator energy and consciously create my life whenever I want. It's always there for all of us. I'm not special. This book is not just for me. This is for anybody who wants to read it. And there's a lot of wisdom in here. A lot of wisdom that I've found that, like, when I read it, I'm like, holy shit, like this, something in my gut, in my DNA reads these words and it's just like, that checks out. I can't tell you why. I don't know. But just for whatever reason, it resonates based off all the things that I've heard in my life. Like, these books have definitely helped me. And I'm sure there's other books like this. I just haven't come across them yet. And they actually helped me be comfortable saying the word God again, because I'm not a religious person, but I'm incredibly spiritual. And they helped me tap into my spiritual understanding from a neutral place, a place without shame, a place um that's more empowered, a place that lives in choice and is connected. And so I wanted to share that message with you guys. If any of you are feeling disempowered, like, know that you are a creator in your own right. Like, we are all creators in our own right. We can choose a new journey, a new destination, a new mission, a new purpose. Just, we can choose anything and everything at any given moment. Like, if you're ever in a situation where you feel like you have no choice, you do have a choice. You always have a choice. Now, do I want you to go out and be reckless and, put yourself in dangerous situations? No, I do not. That's the opposite of what I want. But I just want to encourage you to tap into your creativity. Whether this woo-woo stuff resonates or lands or not, we are creative beings, period. And creativity is not just limited to, like, art, to dancing, to painting, to coloring, whatever. Creativity can be expressed in every part of your life: where you live, how you dress, what you eat, who you speak to, the kinds of coffee you drink, right? Like, you can be creative in any endeavor. You can choose and create in any circumstance, any situation. And that's really what this message of this bonus episode is like, be the creator of your reality, right? And, like, you can test drive it. Like, you don't have to just jump in and be like, I'm choosing everything out the gate, because it could be hard. Like, maybe you don't have the maybe you don't know yourself very well, so you don't even know what you like. So that makes choosing things really difficult, right? So maybe your first step is, like I said, like several episodes ago, is to get curious about yourself, to ask yourself questions. And I think it's much easier to do that when you get still. I think stillness is really step one. Stillness, curiosity, ask those questions, get some answers, and then take action. Move forward. Be empowered. You don't have to wait for empowerment from anybody. Like, you don't have to wait to be loved. You don't have to wait to be good at stuff. You already are love personified. You already are creative consciousness personified. You already are God experiencing themselves as you. You already are perfect. No more waiting around. There's nothing to wait for. I think that's going to be the show today. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode, patrons. Oh my God! It's like a little party just for us. I love you guys. As you know, if you want to like, rate, review the show, I believe this bonus episode only lives on Patreon, so you can't really rate and review it. But let me know what you think. Excuse me. Let me know what you think about this idea, this philosophy, these topics. I just shared a lot of stuff that might not land at all, but it does for me. So that's all I can do, is be authentic and do my thing. But let me know in the comments, and tell a friend to join the Patreon so we can build this community. I love you guys. Happy almost April. Okay, bye.